So,
I guess I want tea.
all right, so what we're going to talk about today, or what we're going to use today, are these are some of the tools we are to shape some of that epoxy we've applied.
Okay.
Let me just go through these because these have a bunch of different names and it can get confusing. These right here are small rasps with profiles. These are called Rifflers. This is actually a file. You can see where it's machined, but we call it a rat tail file. That'll get you into some really neat places. This here is a half round file. You'll see how it's milled in there. Okay, where this is your half round, that'll let you get it, but it's a finer cut. Where this is pretty chewed up. I use this a lot of the time just to flatten something out. Okay. And this is nearing its end. Now the one is my go-to, and sometimes I call it a file. In the video, I've called it a file, but this is actually a rasp. This is a hand-stitched rasp. It's a Nicholson 49, and it is a half round with a taper here, and this is one of my go-to tools which you'll learn to use today, Big D, in shaping that epoxy. This is a card file. We're going to show you how to use a card file. You always have this handy when you're working. This is a Shinto rasp. I'll show you a little bit about that. Okay. Hopefully we have some video in that. And then this is kind of funny. It's called a microfile. Okay, or microplane, but you'll see it's a KitchenAid. I think I got this in a cutout bin for 99 cents at Lowe's. Okay, but it's actually a bunch of little razor sharp edges in there, and you can really take down wood pretty quick with it, or epoxy, which we're going to apply to fix this bench.
How is it on hard Parmesan though?
No, it's good, and that's actually what it is. It's a cheese grater. So let's get started.
All right, let's do it.
What we're going to do is we're going to work on this really quick, and we're going to use this. This is a Granat soft roll. I use 120. We're not sanding it down. What we're doing is we're removing the fine hairs that are protruding here. Okay. I still want it wicked rough. That way there, the QuikWood has something to grab quick to. Okay. Okay, and it sets up quick. So I'm just going to start this. Okay, and I want you to see how to do this. I don't care about this if I scuff it, but I just want you to do that pretty quick. Okay. Okay. Just I'll have you do that, Big D. So as you're doing this big part's a bead, but you're gonna notice this little fillet in here comes down to another bead and then drops into a cove. So this is what we're gonna be really cognizant about. And you'll see right here, that's a sharp line. So you just wanna scuff it up. That's about perfect. Get rid of that little part right there. Okay, good. Now, I need you to sand right down in here, okay? Now the nice thing about this soft roll is it contours to the leg, so there's not much you gotta do. Here, I'll show you this. Let me see this just really quick. Okay. I'll open it up like this. Oh, okay. That's all you gotta do, okay? And I don't care about this because that'll paint up really nice. You're just getting rid of that. Now, I'm gonna step over here and I'm gonna grab a Riffler. And I'm going to step over, Chris, really quick, because I want to surmise this area in here on this rug. And you're going to see, look at that debris in there. Yikes. So if I grab a Riffler, and I usually choose this one, this is this has been sitting in the basement for a few months. See how I got that out of there? Okay? Because I don't... Okay, now, you see how that's... Okay, see that right there? See that separation? I want to leave that piece of wood. I don't want to weaken the whole thing. Okay. So I'll just get in there, I'll pick at it, see what's loose. Sometimes we'll blow it out afterwards. Okay?
And then these are called Rifflers?
These are called Rifflers. A lot of sculptors use them. See, you sanded that came out really nice. We'll just have you get in there, get some of those hairs out of there. And you can get pretty aggressive on that. See, now some on this, you might be able to sand down, but I don't like that. See that? It's because some stuff was chewed out of there. So we're gonna put some QuikWood in there and then sand it in. And then on this side, you got a couple of teeth marks, so we gotta get in there. Okay. The QuikWood, that's just a little bit. Okay, you can learn so much about woodworking, okay, in repairing. Because there's sometimes, like when we start building stuff, guys, there'll be a time where, it's kind of funny, but we're gonna make mistakes. And I love making mistakes, right? But learning how to repair your mistakes, okay, is part of woodworking, all right? And this is what we're doing right here. This is we're learning to repair a piece of furniture that could have gotten tossed, but you're gonna see how nice this comes out. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're going to use this CA glue.
Okay.
All right. And what I want to do is this is the thick. What I want to do, I'm going to let it weep in to this area right here. Okay. Just like this. Okay. Just remember this. We can sand this as well, but we want to get it in there. Okay. And it's not, see that right there? Just like that. So this is what else I do. I also grab a spring clamp, and let's see if I can get this just right. Okay, see how it pushes up? Mm-hmm. Okay, now that's perfect. Now, watch how quick this sets. Okay, see this little bit right here that's come up?
Yep.
It's okay, we'll sand that right off. And I just want to make sure, check this out. We're just gonna, this is the activator. That's all you need. And guess what? This will probably be set up in about 10 seconds. You see this rung right here? This top one right here. See this? The dog chewed this completely in half, okay? And it actually was 2 pieces. It was wobbling in the wind. What I did on this one is I went outside and I got a twig, okay? And I took 2 clamps and held a twig in there because I wanted structure in there. And then you'll see how we need and put the QuikWood in there, and then I let it dry. Took the clamps off, we were ready to rock and roll. And I just sanded it flush and put a coat of just really inexpensive paint on there. Good? Okay, good. And that's perfect, look. See, you can actually feel some of that structure coming back in there. So let's talk about the QuikWood. This is fun stuff. This will be a lot right in here, so it sounds funny. All right, but you peel it back and you look, it looks like a Tootsie Roll, right? Check this out, see it? Okay, and feel it, and feel it, feel it. Okay, so what you gotta do is to activate it, so what we're gonna do is you and I are gonna cut a piece off, and I just kinda eyeball it like this, and I'm just gonna cut that.
Oh, we don't just bite it off?
No, it doesn't taste good. Okay, and as I cut it, you'll see how it opens up. And what I want you to start doing is this. You knead it together, and you're just going to start kneading it.
Okay.
I'm just going to take this one and eyeball it. Okay, and you know what? I think we're going to use most of this. Okay, but just keep kneading it. All right. And I'm going to take about, you know what, that's going to be quite a bit, but that's the size of the rung. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the lion's share of this, like this. Yep, it smells.
It smells so bad.
I know, but it's epoxy. This stuff is wonderful. I have done so many quick repairs with this because it sets up quick.
Ooh.
Oh, you behave. That's $10, everybody. That's a $10 wood right there.
Where do you get this?
I buy it on Amazon. I've gotten it at Woodcraft. I think Rockla's got it. Amazon, yeah. I've been buying a lot of stuff on Amazon lately. I guess because of not getting out of the house.
Right.
Just being here and work in the shop. I don't have a lot to put in here, but I'm going to take some like this and watch. I build it up. I knead it up. See that? I overbuild it. It's kind of like playing with Play-Doh. Okay? But you don't want to, how do you say?
Overdo it?
You don't want to skimp. Okay?
Oh,
you want to build it proud of.
Be liberal.
You want, now that's a good word, liberal. Okay, and that's what I'm doing here. Now someone says, oh, you can.
Well done now.
You know what? Remember what I taught you? Use your eye.
Yeah.
Okay, use your finger. Okay, but you want to bring that right in there, so you got to bring it in there.
Okay.
And you'll see. Okay.
Oh, there it goes.
But you don't want to get. Okay, so as you're doing that, we may take some off of there, but I'm going to do this part right in here. I'm going to start filling in that rung. This stuff will harden, I think, in about I usually start to tackle it in about an hour.
Okay.
Okay. And I think we'll have enough, my friend. How's it look up top? Now, see this right here? You got to be careful. You got to make sure it gets in there.
Okay.
Okay, so knead it in, but build it. This one's going to be, like I said, this one's going to be the tricky one. But remember what I told you? Your hands or your fingertips, and what you're doing is you're basically creating a base for a sculpture.
Oh,
follow me?
Nice.
This is clay.
Yeah. All right. And then we'll contour down with sandpaper to the cove and all that stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, because we got to continue this profile here, watch, and I'll just start to indent that. But we got to do that profile. We got to do the cove up. And it's all about blending it, but it's all about these, using your fingers. I'm going to tilt it up like this. I'm going to have you hold it. So I'm going to come under here.
I got it.
You got it?
Yeah.
Okay, good. And I'm going to blend that in, so I'm filling all the voids. Like anybody's going to look under there anyhow.
But you'll know.
No, don't eat it, anybody. Okay, but you got to be, oh, good, man. I'm just going to blend this together.
Looks like the underside of your desk in elementary school.
Okay, so what we're going to do, you see we get this left over?
Yep.
Okay, so what I always do with this is I roll it up and I set it right there. And when that's hard, we're ready to start shaping.
Nice.
Okay, so now we're starting to, or we're gonna start to look to tackle this. We gotta bring it in. And you can see where it's pretty hard right now, okay? I think this is probably the good start right here, so you get used to. Okay. We don't wanna get too aggressive. So what I want you to do is I want you to start sanding in like we did before, okay? And you'll start to feel how it starts to blend in, okay? In woodworking, you want to make sure things are at the right height and you're comfortable doing it.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is, I think the best way to tackle this is we're going to lift it, and I'm going to have you set yours down on the ground like this. That way there, look, we'll just tilt it up like this, and look how much easier this is. Okay, so always remember that. Make sure you get in the right position to start fairing that. Okay, so I'm going to have you work on that, D. And I'm going to grab something else, and we're going to do this. We're going to get some brushes in there so we can start fairing that in. And I want to show you this, because I want to show you the aggressive of stock, or how aggressive this is to remove. Okay, so you see how that's kind of working its way now down?
Yeah.
This is a Nicholson 49, okay? And I want you to see how that just, you're basically shaving that off. Okay, but you got to be careful with something like this, because you don't want to take too much of this leg off. Okay, and you'll see how it's like a half round here. You can actually follow that contour and see how that it's starting to get close to where we want it.
Okay.
So another way to work this is your thumbs here, and very gently start to do that. We'll blend it in with the sandpaper afterwards. But it is fairly soft right here. So what we want to do is, as we work this and we start to bring it in, okay, we don't want to get too aggressive. So it's a back and forth. There's a little play in there, but you'll start to see how that starts to blend in. Right. Always remember this. Your fingers are a great feeler gauge. You could actually feel it as you're working it in. I'll take a brush so everybody can see that. But you don't want to create any flats out here, so we'll sand that in. But as I'm feeling that, you'll see how it's filled in, but you can see how it's starting to blend in. There's a little ledge there, and we'll get that. It's to clean files. So you see some of this stuff in here, that epoxy? You can use the brush to clean it out. But if you have a finer cut file, that's what these are for. This is a certain Rockwell hardness. It's pretty daggone hard. But these are of a mild steel. So what you can do is, this is how you dig that stuff out of there. And it's a back and forth. So always keep your files clean.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to have you get the feel of this and just bring it across, not cutting into the wood. All right, and I'll have you do that.
It's doing a good job.
Okay, so what you might want to do is now start to sand that in and feel that.
Oh wow, yeah, you can start to even see it.
It's blending in, right?
Yeah.
So there's that chewing part. And this paper, because it's got the sponge back, automatically will start to conform in there. So what you got to do, and it will pop on you. If there's a little bit of a ledge right there, you'll see the epoxy. Okay, and then I'm going to tackle it this way with the curve to get down in there. Okay, and I'm not the best at this, but you'll start to see the intersection coming into play. See it?
Yeah.
Okay, look, and I'm going to come this way with it, and you're going to see it blend in. Okay, and then I'm going to come here and start to nail it. So it all depends on how perfect you want to get, but that right there, I'm going to come in just a little bit on this side just to nail it. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to work some of this down. This is that microfile piece. Look, you want to talk about taking down material quick. See that? It's like little shavings coming out. So this is another, I mean, I think I paid $2 for this. But you can actually take a lot of that epoxy down with this quick. I still always reach for this Nicholson. I'm just so used to it. Okay, I'm gonna have you work that a little bit. Yeah, let's clean that card with the card. There you go. So you're gonna see it's starting to get a little bit of shape in there, but you're gonna see how it's very proud here. There you go. And just start working all the different angles. Now, I think we're done. Let's attack that with sandpaper.
Okay.
And just, and what you're doing now is just getting the marks out. I see a lot of people do this. You should always use the sandpaper like this.
Oh, wow, okay.
Okay, that way there, you're actually getting the abrasive to the material.
Okay.
What that abrasive is a finer grain of the file, because that's aluminum oxide on this sponge material.
Yeah.
And they're little tiny grains, they're little cutting grains. Okay, they're a lot finer than this. And as you're doing that, it breaks apart and creates sharper edges. So now, now comes the difficult part. Is if we can pan over here, we have to duplicate this. And if you notice, it's a big bead, and then you have this little part here, this little quirk. And then you have this cove profile, or this little cove that comes up in there. So what we're gonna do is, and Dee, you did an incredible job making that proud. And look at it, it almost looks like it's ready to go.
Just throw some paint on it.
Okay. Okay, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna get a quick sand on here. Okay, and it's not to blend it, it's to mark it. Okay, it'll be easier to mark. All right, because as we start to blend it with that file, we gotta, and that's pretty crisp right in here. So I wanna mark it. I'm just gonna bring this like this. Okay, so it's easier to put a pencil mark on there. And I'm not getting super fancy with this. Because you know who's gonna know?
You.
And me, and Chris, and anybody else who's watching. So what we wanna do is we wanna put a mark on here. And I'm just going to feel it right here. And I'm slowly gonna come across like this. Okay, I mean, there's probably an easier way to do this, but this gets us where we need to get. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna see what I have over here to cut or get close. So I'm gonna try this Riffler in here. Okay, and I'm gonna start to cut that and get it fairly close. See how I'm starting to come in a little? So I know where to put the cove, and I want to know where to blend. I'm going to come over here, and this isn't cutting the greatest, but let me see, I'll get it a little bit rough aside here, just to get an eyeball where I need to be. Okay, and I know this is rough, but it'll turn out, see how it's starting to cut?
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's an easier way to do it, but this is what I was taught, or how I learned how to do this. It's kind of like marking where your beads are going to be when you're turning on the lathe. All right, you're getting rough, but I want to start to cut that. So remember when I told you if something feels awkward, which this started to feel a little bit awkward to us, what we want to do is get a better bead on it, as no pun intended, but let's take this and flip it so it comes into a better plane for us to work. And you know what, I'm starting to see this. So what we want to do is I want to refine this little part right here that separates the bead from the transition or cove, and I made a mark on it. Okay, and maybe I'm getting a little too I don't want to say perfect for this, but there's a little transition part right here. Okay, I'm just going to mark it. I'm not, what I want to do is I want to create a better transition. So I'm going to grab this very, very fine point V groove or veining tool I have. Okay, and remember, your hand is never in front when you're carving, it's always behind. And I'm just going to take little pieces of epoxy out. Okay, just so I can define that a little bit better as you're shaping that. Okay.
Oh, wow.
So what I'm doing is I'm creating that transition point just like this. And yes, nobody would really notice, but we would, right?
Right.
So what I want to do is just come in here, and you know what, you get just little at a time. Just a little at a time. A little at a time. And then we can actually take good care of it when we come back with the file. Is I'm going to come down in here, and you see this is what we were trying to get at. See this little part right here?
Yep.
We want to make sure that that continues. So let me just get a line in here with this little veining tool. Okay, just to make it fairly crisp. It doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm going to let you finish this off. Where's that file?
Right behind you.
Right behind me. Okay, and I'm going to define this part right here. But I'm going to define this part, and then I'm going to have you blend this into this. Now we get this, if you come right here, we get a line right here.
Yep.
Okay, so now we have to start taking some of that off and working it like this. And you'll see we still have that line in there, which we want.
Yep.
Okay, because that's your break from the bead to the transition down. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at it from a different angle. And man, that's starting to come in really nice, D. Look at that.
Yeah, it's set up pretty good.
Yep. And I know it'll pop when all the flats that will pop, but the other thing I'm looking at is right in here. You know what? I ain't gonna sweat the small stuff on that.
Okay.
I'm just trying to figure. You know what? That feels round all the way around by these fingers. Mm-hmm. Okay. So what are you gonna do now?
I'm just feeling underneath this.
Yeah.
This
This is good. This is good. The rung is good. Okay. Don't blow it in my face, man.
That's what she said.
But I'm just going like this. Look. It just feels right. So we filed it in.
Yep.
Okay. You sanded it in.
Yep.
And I let you do the final sanding. What do you think?
I think that right now with our transition and everything, that if we took any more off, we'd probably mess it up a little bit.
Okay. Nicely said. I think we'll stop here. And we'll get a coat of paint on there, and we'll check it out.
So, Sedge, are we ready to spray, or what?
No. Okay, you just vac this off, right? Okay. There's a difference between vacuuming off, blowing off, but also tacking off. I don't like to use traditional tack cloths.
Okay.
I just use old socks, t-shirts, cotton. And what I do is I just wipe everything off like this and get it all off, okay? Before we spray.
Sure.
Okay, so let's get all those areas. We're not spraying the whole thing, just the areas we worked. Okay, just like this. We're not getting fancy. And then what I'm gonna do is we're gonna tape this off right now, okay? So what we're gonna do is I just got this quick tape. We're not gonna go nuts, but I'm just gonna tape this off just in case we get ever so slight overspray. I'm just gonna do this and just take it like this. Okay, now, this is not any fancy finish on here. It looks like it's a rubbed through finish where they stained it probably this color and then sprayed paint, some black on it, and then sanded it and maybe shot it with some lacquer. Just so everybody can see today. What I'm gonna do is, this is very inexpensive spray paint. I think I paid 99 cents for this. But what I wanna do is let's start hitting this like this. Okay, just so we can start to see what a great job you did, Derek. Look at that. And we'll just hit it like this. Okay, and the other thing about spraying like this, everybody wants to gob it on really quick. Oh, this stuff dries really quick. So what we'll do is we'll just spray that like that. Okay, let it dry, not put a lot on there. And we'll just spray this area here and down here so you can start to see. Oh man, Derek, look at this.
That's awesome.
Look how that just came out, dude. Okay, boy, Marianne's gonna be happy with this. It's nothing fancy. I'm gonna come over and get this side. Okay, we'll turn it over in a little while, but you're gonna see, you don't want a lot of overspray. We're just gonna tack it up like this. We're not spraying a lot. Okay, just like this. And you're gonna see, okay, so you're gonna see how that blended in really nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll wait, we'll add another coat. Then what I like to do is sometimes I'll take just some really fine abrasive and just hit it really quick, or steel wool, and that blends this finish, which is flat, with this finish.
Okay.
If it's a noticeable difference, I didn't do it on this rung here. If it's a noticeable difference, maybe I'll just spray some quick clear satin lac and then blend it in with some steel wool. Okay, so a quick wrap. You can see where this was the original. This is what was all chewed up. We'll get a close-up shot of this. What I did is we shot the black spray paint on here, and then I finished up with this matte clear enamel. And you'll see, you pretty much can't tell the difference between original and the chewed up one.
This is extra crispy.
For sure. So we hope this video inspired you to do some restoration in the house. Don't forget, we use QuikWood, and we use just regular spray paint, and we used rasps and files and some carving tools to accomplish this. And
A cheese grater.
a cheese grater and some sandpaper.
And sandpaper, yes.
Cool. So we just want to remind you, be positive and stay sharp. Cool.